So as a security expert on this, and when we spoke to Senator Ndume earlier, and he obviously was practically telling us that their hands are tied because the presidency has the constitutional prerogative to sack the service chiefs if they choose to. But in your view, do you think letting go of the service chiefs is the solution, is the panacea to solving the problem of the Northeast?
Well, you know, in my secondary school days, there was a topic in mathematics called elimination by substitution. You see, when you face with security conundrum that we have in Nigeria, since 2015, it's natural that you introduce different things and see the effect of those things on the security realities of Nigerians. So the military said they needed more money, more billions has been given to them since 2015. That hasn't really solved the problem. Okay, they said they needed more manpower. They rejigged the military organization to provide more frontline officers. That hasn't really solved the problem. The president brought them together for interagency cohesion and cooperation. That hasn't really worked either. So it gets to a point where you have to ask yourself, changing the managers might be the solution. So the key point here is, I believe changing leaders have a way of injecting new momentum into this war we are waging. Convention says they shouldn't spend this long, in that role because it creates certain loss of motivation within the rank and file, which makes it difficult for a war like this to be won.
I don't think it is just about sacking them. Do you think that we can? Is there a legal background for us to prosecute service chiefs for mismanagement of resources, costing us lives? Is there a legal background for the fact that the presidency told the service chief to resume at a location and he's not been working there? So, what can we do? What's the legal thing we can do to punish these people?
Well, I don't think, prosecuting service chiefs for military decisions will be very difficult. Largely because some of these decisions are subjective. You can, and also there's also a difference between the service chief giving an instruction and the person actually carrying it out is way much lower in the food chain. So really, you can, for financial misappropriation, yes, that can be done. It's been done in the past, but when it comes to actual military decision, that cannot be done. You see, the challenge we have here is we have a situation where 3 years ago, General Buratai, using him as an example, should have spent 35 years in the military, so he should have retired. So he was given an extension. So for every single year that he has spent outside from 3 years ago, a new set of people who joined after him were retired because they reached 35 years. So we have a situation now in the army where the next level of officers below Buratai are people that joined 3 years after him. So you have a situation where there's so much gap now, which has never happened in the Nigerian army, between the chief of army staff and the next ranking officer. So those next ranking officers, because their boss is so far ahead of them, they can't really speak truth to power. They can't really challenge certain things. Unlike situation where many of his contemporaries are also still there, where they can challenge him one-on-one. So you have a situation where a bubble can be created in leadership, where he just does things on his own, and therefore what that creates is it creates a division within the rank and file, where you have people who are his boys, so to speak, loyal to him, and people who are not his boys.
To keep the service chiefs in spite of all that is happening. My fear is there something they've seen down the line that they think it will cost us even more if we were to change them than to just keep what we have now and work with what we have?
Well, from my reading of what's happening in Nigeria, nobody really knows what's in the head of the president. But my take on it really is that I think President Buhari probably just doesn't like change. Maybe it's of that age where he just set in his way. He likes what is familiar. Once he's familiar with somebody or something, it's like he keeps it. We've seen that with not just with the service chief. We've seen that with his ministers. You know, I mean, unlike Obasanjo, when Obasanjo was the president, the story people were told then was that as he was appointing you as a minister, he's actually asking you to write your letter of resignation. So that when you're not performing, you don't have to write a new letter. I will just date the one you've signed already. You know, so that put all the ministers on their toes. But of course, under President Buhari, we can see ministers performing, not performing, everybody just stayed throughout. You know, so it seems to be his style, I think. It doesn't like changing guards. It doesn't like changing anything. And I think that's a problem here.